It is Sunday, March 11th, 2018, Wrestleview Live number 31, WWE Fastlane review show. How's everybody doing? I'm Adam Martin, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. Thank you for watching on the front page of Wrestleview.com or on YouTube, or you're listening to us on SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever you might be doing. This is the last podcast before WrestleMania / the last Smackdown only show. And here to join me as always is Mr. Doug Lackey. Douglas, how are you, sir?
I guess I'm doing okay. It's just I want to show something on cam here. I kind of showed you before we came on. Is apparently pay-per-views from the WWE and realizing that you have to cover them lead you to making poor business decisions. So this is what I'm going to be drinking while we're doing this. Bud Light Strawberryta.
Strawberryta. How's that taste, by the way?
Oh, boy.
Well,
actually, thank God it's an 8.0 ABV, so we're going to need something to numb the pain.
So, I will say this. This show started slow and got better.
Oh God, did it ever?
It got better, but it was a struggle at first because I have an interesting perspective tonight. So I'm the official / unofficial SmackDown recapper. It was a job that I volunteered for and ended up keeping for close to 2 years now, since they've done the switch of the show from was it Thursdays they were on, and then they were Fridays, Thursday, then they moved back to, well, they've never been on Tuesday. But I got the job because the live results are very important for us on Wrestleview. A lot of people show up. You'd be very surprised that a show that's broadcasted on cable, a lot of people show up and they want to see what's going on because maybe they just don't want to tune in or, whatever. So I've had the pleasure of seeing the beginning of this brand with the draft and how everyone said that SmackDown was better than Raw. And then I've experienced Raw is a terrible show. It's 3 hours. It's too long. And then all of a sudden, the last couple months, I don't know if maybe you want to say December-ish, it really shifted and Raw became a much better show. And SmackDown and Road Dogg is getting just pounded on Twitter every week. He's apparently the head writer. I had no idea that he became the head writer. It just, apparently that's the thing. But he gets pounded on Twitter about how bad the show, and they're not wrong, because it's kind of a bad show. It's a totally different vibe than SmackDown. I pitched it for Mike 2 weeks ago and covered Raw, and I was like, dude, is Raw like this every week? He's like, yeah, for the most part. And it was just a whole different world. And I don't know if it's because it's a 2-hour show and they have to fit in too much, but the pacing's really weird. There's always a promo that opens SmackDown with either Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, somebody having a conflict or a problem, and then it's designed to build towards the main event. So it's not like a revolutionary format for a pro wrestling show, but it's a pretty basic show. And then last Sunday, I went to a SmackDown house show here in Cedar Rapids, and I basically saw the same thing that we saw. I watched Bobby Roode and Randy Orton wrestle last Sunday, and then I had to watch them go almost 20 minutes tonight. And the house show wasn't terrible. There was some questionable things. There was a lot of goofy comedy stuff. And I know I've always described wrestling as, you can't take wrestling seriously. It's intended to be goofy and entertainment. But there was the New Day was pretending they were doing the flare flop stuff, but they would get punched and they would kind of wobble. And then they would, it was oof, I'm kind of embarrassed to be sitting here watching this. It was really when someone tries to be funny and then they try a little too hard and you're like, okay, stop. Let's not do this.
You mean like AJ Styles?
Yes. When AJ Styles tries to insert comedy into his promos. But there was a lot of that on the house show, a lot of comedy stuff. And eventually now again, I'm not pro wrestling has to be serious, but if you're
was it too much? I mean, was it almost every match was
almost
that?
Every the first 3 matches was kind of like that. And then the funniest person was probably Carmella, but she wasn't trying to be funny. She was just yelling and screaming constantly. So that was entertaining.
That's fine.
And that's fine, but like when you're really trying hard to go out of your way to be like haha funny, it's very cringy to watch. So I was a little nervous about tonight. I was like, oof, like some of the house show was not good. Attendance was very good. They had close to 4,000 people there, so you know they were probably happy with that, because I think the next night they went to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and barely got like 1,500 people in there. But it's a touring brand with not a very strong roster, if that makes sense. Where it's now, granted, there's been a lot of injury, which is funny. There's so many injuries on Raw, so you would think that SmackDown by default would have a better roster, but that's not necessarily the case. And that's what made me a little nervous about tonight. But started slow, it picked up. I would much rather sit here and talk to you about the stuff that I liked versus the stuff that I disliked. But there's one match in particular I know we're both kind of align on when we talk about that. But I thought the six-pack challenge turned out surprisingly very good tonight. I don't know what your feelings were, because it just finished about 15, 20 minutes ago. But I really liked it. I thought they did a good job of pacing it out and having everyone kind of do something, and having Shane at ringside, and a lot of chaos, and the stuff with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens was really good tonight. I loved how they started it with Cena giving everybody AAs and only AJ Styles was left. I thought they did a good job tonight, and good way to kind of head into WrestleMania, even though maybe I know you're not a big fan of the speed bump shows, because this was a speed bump show, essentially.
Oh my God, if there was ever a speed bump show, I was afraid this is more of a pothole show than anything else. Let me see. Let's just say I set already by my purchasing decisions, I set the bar incredibly low for this show, only for the sake of just looking at the card and how they built the card. Okay. Let's just start it off with Nakamura Rusev being, booked on the fly, last week or the week after, or before or whenever. That's fine. I can deal with that. You got to have the Royal Rumble winner doing something. You got to have one of your more popular characters doing something. Put them in a match. I got no problem with that. But the U.S. title match, for the love of God, nothing warranted this to last as long as it did.
No.
Nothing. Yes, you might have been talking about this match for 3 weeks and incorporating a Jinder Mahal just for the sake of Jinder Mahal, but there was no reason for that match to last as long as it did.
Almost 20
None
minutes.
whatsoever.
Almost 20 minutes.
How many headlock rest spots do we need to have in order to have, a somewhat compelling match? Okay. The women's tag match, I know there's so many times that we make complaints about how pay-per-views feel like TV shows. Well, when you book a match like that on a pay-per-view, it's going to feel like a TV show.
Yeah.
Because there was the only reason you booked this match is for, I don't know, people yelling and making fun of each other at TV screens watching each other wrestle during SmackDown. That's the only reason that they booked that match. It was complete filler. Made no sense whatsoever. Becky Lynch looked like a strip of bacon. Did you see what she was wearing?
It was all brown. Yeah, I saw.
Everyone was wearing onesies in that match, so I did not get a hard on. Number two, the onesie that she's wearing is like full of these like flames and stuff. With her red hair, she seriously looked like a strip of bacon.
Well, she's straight fire, Doug. That's why she's got the flames.
I guess I was trying to find out, okay, if she's the strip of bacon, where's the eggs? Who's the piece of toast? And I damn well know Natalia is just a glass of orange juice, because that's the obligatory glass of orange juice that you have with any complete breakfast. But yeah, I just compared a women's tag team match to a wholesome breakfast. Okay,
like a wholesome breakfast.
That's how horrible that was. Okay, I know that I'm saving the best for last because I know what you're thinking was the best.
Yeah, I want to save what we both disliked, but they,
the six-pack challenge. Let's go and just start with the six-pack challenge.
Okay, we'll start there.
Okay, this thing, the six-pack challenge, aka Elimination Chamber without a box.
Yep.
And not elimination style. Okay. I totally agree with everything you said about how, Cena had his spots, taking everyone out, left with AJ. That's great. You had great rife and chemistry between Zayn and Owens and yelling at Shane and both getting their comeuppance and not winning, and, you know, told a great story there. You had the story of Corbin is one who will just let loose on everyone. He can run roughshod, but then he has kind of a glass jaw. You know, he's just put down for the count after one move or whatnot. He can only take advantage of opportunity so much. AJ Styles, don't really need to say anything other than he almost pulled a Brock Lesnar to where he's taken out on the table. We don't see him again until one move after he gets up from the table, and he wins. So there's that. My problem is, what the hell is Dolph Ziggler? What was his point of being in that match?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing too, because
I don't know what this guy is, what the purpose of him is, and what's I think this all started with me at the Royal Rumble with him, because first he wins the U.S. title, he vacates it. Then he comes back at the Royal Rumble, and you would think the only reason he's coming back is to win the world title. Well, he didn't last but maybe a hot minute and a half in the Royal Rumble. Tossed over the ropes quite easily. Then he gets into this match and does I don't know how many pinfalls he got. I don't know. He never got a pinfall to where someone kicked out and he's like, oh my God, I should have won. Never had that at all.
He had a nice little counter with Cena, but that was about it though.
But that was it.
I will say this, when I was at the house show, he had a match with Shinsuke, and he, for some reason, yelled out that he was going to do the Faymaster, but as he did it, he literally jumped in and went, Faymaster! And he hit it. I, for some reason, thought that was very entertaining, of him just like yelling out the move that he was actually committing in front of you. But he's been cutting promos on SmackDown about how, okay, so I'm back now, and the only thing I care about is the WWE Championship and going to WrestleMania, which obviously that's not going to happen now. But to his defense, though, I will say this. I read this interview he did where his pitch to the creative team was, after I vacate the U.S. title, I want to stay off television for 6 months. And then in 6 months, bring me back, and we'll see kind of where we at, where the, I don't know what brand it would be, Raw or SmackDown, but where the kind of the main event scene would be at, and kind of figure out a way creatively to insert him into that and reference his past history in promos. They decided to do it in 4, 5, 6 weeks instead, and now that's what we're getting. And I guess he's re-signed for another 2 years. So his pitch was 6 months, and they gave him like 6 weeks. So, you know, I don't like to be Mr. Blame the creative team person, but I don't think he's exactly thrilled with what they're doing with him either. But
if that was his idea, that is so unimaginative. I mean, seriously, if this was solely his idea, and that he's going to be off TV for 6 months, and what his plan of doing, coming back from being off TV for that long amount of time, is to remind people what he's done? No. What you're supposed to do is when you come back, you're supposed to obliterate whoever has the title. You're supposed to come out and show why this is important to you. You're supposed to come out and say, this is why I'm back. It's for this thing. This thing is why it's important. Not what I was or what I used to be or what I have accomplished the whole time. Because quite frankly, no one even remembers who were the champions 6 months ago. So why would anyone want to remember what you've done your entire career? And a lot of people, when watching them, will have this feeling of, oh, remember Barry? I remember. I remember that. Well, remember Del Rio? I remember Del Rio.
But I think that's what he wanted to do, though. He wanted to do the member berries with, do you remember that time, Doug, when I had the Money in the Bank briefcase and I walked out and the reaction I got? And he said this in a promo to, I think, like AJ Styles or somebody recently. So yeah. I'm seeing exactly how he wanted to play it out, but for some reason they were not on board with letting his concept was, think about every wrestler that gets hurt and they're gone for 6 months to a year, and the reaction that person gets. That's what he was attempting to capture to at least get an interest level going. Because when you don't see somebody for 6 months to a year, you go, oh yeah, I haven't seen this guy for a while. So he was wanting to take advantage of that, but didn't get that opportunity. So now he's, cutting the same promo.
Let's put this let's put a much larger hypothetical out here when it comes to him and this 6-month hiatus comeback idea that he had. Okay. There's another guy right now who's going through that same thing right now. Who would get the bigger pop returning after 6 months? Dolph Ziggler or Dean Ambrose?
Dean Ambrose.
Why is that?
Well,
because he has an established character.
That too.
That's what he has. Dean Ambrose is this weird, wacky guy who just flails around. He's got the weird eyeballs. He's just a weird guy. But everyone knows that he's weird. He's going to do some weird shit. Dolph Ziggler, flowing blonde hair, pink tights. Yeah, that's what he's got. So, and what's more is if he loves referencing how long he's been in this organization and that he's been performing, what is it? We're looking at upwards of maybe 12 years, 13 years, something like that.
It's got to be at least that. At least.
And if the character that you have built for yourself is, I am better at what I do than anyone else, but you keep on losing and keep on sucking, well, then that destroys what the basis is for your character.
Jamel in the chat said Dolph hasn't been interesting since 2013 when he was running with AJ Lee and Big E. And that run felt good because not only was he kind of helping Big E, but it was doing something with AJ a little bit because that led to AJ kind of... I guess that was kind of post AJ taking over Raw with Daniel Bryan and Kane and stuff, but he just, it doesn't, they got to find something with him. You can't just,
he has been given so much protection throughout his entire career. Okay. And now we're really seeing how fragile he is without that protection. I don't want to say it's sad, but he's had all the time in the world and all of the resources given to him to be able to build something and tons of opportunities. Hell, he saved us from the Authority during the Survivor Series, all because of John Cena.
That's right.
And look what he's done with that.
Yeah.
He could have been a pretty decent babyface, but he just could not do it.
Nope.
And so he thinks that he would be a better heel because of the pop that he would get, apparently. Or if he even thought he would get a pop because of being a babyface. But it doesn't matter what side of the coin he's on. He hasn't established anything. Period. So as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to be 6 months, turn it into 2 years. You're not exactly Chris Jericho.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're going to do something with him, but they need to figure out what that's going to be because the record scratch thing is just... It gets your attention a little bit with no music, but
dead air for longer than 5 seconds. Oh,
yeah.
I'm checked out. I'm gone.
But it gets your attention though because you're used to the big elaborate entrance thing. But yeah, I don't know about old Dolph. He's got another 2 years, and I got to tell you, I was a little surprised they kept him. I thought they were tapped creatively with him, and they were just going to do the old let's just take some time away and maybe come back in a couple years. But they're intent on using him. I saw a lot of discussion on our Facebook group, Wrestleview Media, if you want to join, as the show is taking place, about the fact that they're going with AJ and Shinsuke in a few weeks at WrestleMania, which we kind of knew was going to be the plan always, as soon as he won the Royal Rumble. But so I know you've been watching more Japan stuff on your Twitch show.
Yes.
I would be intrigued if you decide to check out something. I know you're following a path with ratings and stuff, but AJ and Shinsuke have wrestled each other before in New Japan. So that's why, people have tossed out Dream Match, but I know like Frank has been like, well, why is it a Dream Match? I don't understand why. I've never seen that. I get what he's saying, because to people that do not pay attention to Japanese wrestling, they have no idea why they're calling this a Dream Match. So I think WWE could do a little bit of a better job of referencing that and why people are trying to call it a dream match, which I'm sure they'll do because they got 4 weeks to do that.
Wouldn't it be a little difficult though? Aren't there some things that they can't mention?
They can talk about the fact that they wrestled in Japan. They just can't actually show the footage because that's obviously,
All they got to say is the word Japan every single time they reference these two guys, and suddenly we're supposed to think that that's why it's a dream match.
I guess so. Yeah, I know.
That's the only thing they can do.
That's the only thing they're running with. So they got to do a little bit of a better job than that, because the amount of people that have seen them wrestle in Japan versus the amount of people that are going to see them wrestle at WrestleMania is just night and day. So they need to kind of figure out that path, I think, a little bit. But there's a couple things that have kind of spun out, I've noticed, from this main event tonight. The first thing, obviously, is AJ is going to be facing Nakamura in four weeks. Mm-hmm. John Cena was throwing a temper tantrum in the corner tonight because he lost.
Which is fabulous.
I loved that. I still feel like the dude's wrestling The Undertaker in 4 weeks. He literally came out on Raw a couple weeks ago, said, I'm challenging The Undertaker, and then proceeded to say, but they told me that that's not going to happen. So he tried to create another path, got in this match, lost. Obviously, that's probably what we're going to see. Looks like they're going to do something with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Shane McMahon. I have no clue what Baron Corbin's going to be doing. I have no clue what Dolph Ziggler, probably in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which will have more significance this year with that documentary coming out in a few weeks. But, again, this is another year of Shane having a match. Although I remember was last year the AJ match that opened the show?
Yeah, last year it was AJ Shane.
I thought that match was going to suck. And I was pleasantly surprised how good that match was. That
match told a great story.
Awesome story.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get something. Should I keep the bar low for Shane versus Sammy versus Kevin, maybe? Because that looks like I know Kevin Owens was hinting that he was going to be in the Andre the Giant match, but he would just showed an image of the match and said he's going to study some tape. But I love the stuff they're doing with Kevin and Sammy right now on SmackDown. That's one of the gems of that show. And then Shane, obviously, it's been very interesting, Doug, that Daniel Bryan has just like disappeared off television all of a sudden in like the last 2 weeks, like just nothing. And I don't know if that's an intentional thing because the contracts come and due, and they're gonna but they got to explain why the general manager is not on the show. They can't just not have him show up. I mean, they've done it in the past, but that's another weird thing too. We're 4 weeks out of Mania, and Daniel Bryan's just kind of disappeared. So a lot going on. I tried to summarize.
I'm sure they could write that back in. I'm imagined they'll just have an episode, the typical opening, Shane's in the ring and out comes Daniel, and Shane goes like, oh, glad you could join us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Dan's like, yeah, I got nothing better to do. So here I am in whatever city we're in right now. So you don't like Kevin and Sammy, huh?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I know that there was some people wondering if Daniel would get approved to get back in the ring and have a match at Mania, or just like a kind of in the same vein of how Kurt Angle's been wrestling, where he doesn't have a singles match, but he just gets in physical. But that's gotta. Well,
I seriously think he's already been approved.
You think so?
To come back into action. I really think he is. And if anything, they're going to hold off on revealing any of that, in relation to the stupid little Divas and Bella's shows that they have. I'm just thinking of cross-referencing and cross-promoting is what I'm looking at. But I seriously think he's already been given the okay. It's just trying to find how they're going to insert him into this nuttiness. At first, a Daniel Bryan Shane McMahon match just sounds like a no-brainer, but you got to throw Kevin and Sammy in there for a loop. And so why not tag match?
That could be good.
Kevin Sammy versus Shane and Daniel Bryan.
And then maybe something, they could build to something with that. That'd be fun.
And then you have a nice little double cross happen somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows who throws the first punch against who? Who knows?
They've been for the last 3 months now. They've been teasing dissension between Shane and Daniel, so they got to be doing something with that. There's got to be some kind of a payoff there, unless that.
This all started with the Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon dynamic.
Yes. Which
has been going on for 5 months?
A long time.
Okay, so that's where this program started. Okay, Hell in a Cell, before Hell in a Cell was when that was. I think it's August or September. September. Yeah, September is when that was. So here we are now in month 7 or 8 of the beginning of this program, building into incorporating Daniel Bryan into it, incorporating Sami Zayn into it, incorporating AJ Styles into it. It's just been building and building and building and found no resolution at all. And I don't even know what the resolution is. But this has been the basis of SmackDown for such a long time. And that's why a lot of people are turning away from SmackDown. It's because this is the dominant storyline, because it involves talent that doesn't really perform in the ring all the time, but it's also been dragging for so long. And just because you threw an extra ingredient into your main dish doesn't exactly mean that people are going to keep on coming to it time after time after time. Okay? Just because you made a great hamburger and threw bacon on it, oh, that sounded great the first time. But just because you put the bacon underneath the cheese instead of on top of the cheese doesn't mean that everyone's going to be just as excited. That's what they've been doing.
They've really got the SmackDown roster is just in dire need to be shaken. I know they did the Superstar shakeup this time last year after Mania, but if they're not going to do it in April, they got to do it in the summertime or something. Because now we're gonna. And again, I don't know if they're going to have to really explain that, because tonight's the last SmackDown only show, and I think we saw why. Starting in after WrestleMania, we're going to get dual branded shows. So they got to do either they're going to do some kind of a Superstar shakeup or another draft, or they're going to do some kind of explanation, because now we're not really going to have every show is going to build towards the same show now, which could be good or bad depending on. I think they got to do it. I mean, I think they could see that they were putting in more effort and pumping out more content, and it was not leading to more subscribers. Like, it just that was they literally were like, oh, well, then this is just a waste of our time then. Like, it's not helping us build this base, which I'm glad.
And man, are we losing money with leasing the building and
there's
trying to make a profit from gates,
Yeah, no reason to be doing that. But I really want to talk about the tag title match, but I want to get really quick into the almost 20-minute debacle of Bobby Roode and Randy Orton tonight.
Oh, I got to take a good chug from this one. You go ahead and talk.
So the reason Doug's chugging right now is because this match almost went 20 minutes, and I would say the first 9 or 10 minutes was basically two guys applying headlocks, waist locks, suplexes, clotheslines, and taking their sweet time in between everything. I hate being so critical.
Do you remember playing Trivial Pursuit for the first time?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That's what this was.
It was. Okay. I don't know why they thought it was such a good idea to lay the match out this way. I saw these guys wrestle last Sunday, and they did do some similar spots, but they had Jinder Mahal run down and break it up after like 10 minutes. I
was praying for Mahal to come down anytime.
I was kind of too, because the crowd was quiet. They would do, like, they did a superplex spot, and Byron Saxton kept asking Kevin Dunn, can we see that one more time? Do you see how tall Randy Orton is? And he has to really, and I'm like, okay, I get it, but it's like, and I don't know if it's a Bobby Roode problem or a Randy Orton problem, but Bobby Roode came in as a heel in NXT and worked as a heel in NXT. I watched him work a tag match at an NXT show with Samoa Joe and did a great job. He would still get the reactions because of the theme song. But I was kind of noticing, and like, I'm a big Bobby Roode proponent. When I saw this dude in TNA, I was like, wow, this guy is like a wrestler created for the WWE presentation. He's perfect for it. But when you put him in the ring with a guy like Randy Orton, who's kind of dull, gets a reaction, has his set spots that he does, they literally combined two dull people tonight and thought, oh, let's go 20 minutes with these guys. And now, granted, we got a title change. It's the first time Randy's ever become a United States champion. I could not believe that Randy's been with this company for over 16 years now. That's ridiculous to me that he's been in the company that long. But yeah, it was not good. That was a rough one. And the crowd was completely quiet for it. Not good.
I want to try to kind of talk about both of these characters these characters. Okay, so Randy Orton's character, the crux of his character is he can hit an RKO at any time from anywhere, right?
Correct.
What the fuck were they doing for the first 8 to 10 minutes?
I have no idea.
If the crux of your character is that you hit a move from fucking out of nowhere, you'll do it any time that you get it. What the fuck was he doing for the first 10 minutes? You did nothing to confirm or reaffirm what your character is. Because let's face it, that move, that is the only thing about your character. He has the emotional range of a can of beets. He's about as charismatic as drywall. There's nothing else he can do. The move, the RKO, is what is Randy Orton. Everything that he does, it revolves around that move. Nothing else. Go ahead and waste 4 minutes to do a superplex spot. It doesn't matter. Waste another 3 minutes staring into the crowd to do a hangman's DDT. It doesn't matter. RKO, that's the only thing about your character. And what's weird is the 3-week build of this match started because he hit an RKO out of nowhere.
I know, it's so silly.
What? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, now let's go to Roode. Okay. The crux of Bobby Roode's character. Go.
He
loves his theme music.
He has very pretty robes.
Okay.
He does this little cross dance when he walks out. He has a platform that spins. When the crowd gets quiet, he goes like this, and then he puts his hands in the air, and then they say "Glorious." Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. He said he was going to make the Smackdown big time now that he is there. Well, he's U.S. champion.
He wanted to make he would reference John Cena. He said John Cena had all these open challenges. I want to do the same thing and make it legitimate.
Right, and then RKO out of nowhere,
boom,
or Jinder Mahal came out and he wanted to do stuff. Ty Dillinger did stuff. That's a pretty name.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't want to fault Roode.
I don't either.
The position that he is in, solely because I remember the first program he had on SmackDown, and it was basically the cursed touch of Dolph Ziggler. Anything that Dolph Ziggler touches that is meant to prop up or push up an up-and-coming performer or to confirm a performer just withers and dies. Ask Dean Ambrose. Okay. This is why I'm so, when it comes to Dolph Ziggler, I am hypercritical. And it's incredibly warranted. Because it's because of that this is what we have with Bobby Roode. If we're trying to establish the Bobby Roode character, and you're establishing it against Dolph Ziggler, the character is, I guess he was a heel, but he says he's really good at what he does. What is it that he does? He wrestles. So Bobby Roode beat a good wrestler? So what does that confirm about Bobby Roode's ethics or pathos? It doesn't confirm anything. He does his goddamn job. That
was a big word, Doug. Pathos. I like that.
Pathos. Yeah, look it up. It's Latin.
Yeah.
I took 5 years of Latin in college, high school and college. Yeah. I'm going to take a drink so that no one else looks that up and makes me look stupid.
I like that. It was good. I like the usage of it. A lot of panache on it.
But I mean, that's the problem right now with Roode is it's the same problem we had with Dean Ambrose at this time when Dean Ambrose became world champion, went against Ziggler as his first program on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like we had face versus face or heel versus heel with both characters having the same mentality. That one is just better than the other at what they do, or it's because of them that this show is what it is. That's what Roode said he wants to do. That's what Ziggler says he wants to do. Those don't help in building and confirming a character. That's why right now, when it comes to Dolph Ziggler, when he says he wants to be away for 6 months, I tell him, no, stay away for 2 years. Okay? Stay away for 2 years. Try to think about something that you want to be that could help us build or confirm characters other than talking about yourself and what you do and why you are great at what you do. We've had plenty of those. There are a dime a dozen, and all of them stink. Okay? They stink. You're a heel. You're supposed to have a character of some kind. Find me another heel on this entire WWE roster that has the kind of mentality that Ziggler has, but fails just as miserably as Ziggler does. Kevin Owens is a heel right now. You know what his mentality is? He's an asshole.
Yep.
But he's good at it. He makes fun of the crowd. He makes fun of the people he's in the ring with. He confirms it every single day. Grab me another heel of any kind. The Miz. Why is The Miz a heel? He's arrogant. He's cocky. He has the Intercontinental Championship. He thinks he's the greatest of all time. Why is that? He's a coward. And he shows that he's a coward all the time, not just from the Miz Taraj, but even before that. He's taken the cheap ways in and out. That's what he does. That's what a heel does. Okay? They have the character. Heels have character.
Kevin is so good, too, because I was sitting there just kind of, you know what, sometimes when you're at a wrestling show and you just kind of zero in, because it was a fatal four-way main event with Styles, Corbin, and Sami Zayn and AJ. And I watched Kevin I was watching how he would stand in the corner and he would just kind of look in the front row and he's like, okay, who am I going to pick on?
Exactly.
And then this dude just starts catcalling him and I hear him audibly go, where are we? And he's like trying to talk to the guy and the guy's like, you're in Cedar Rapids. He goes, what? He's like, I don't even, and then he looks at there. He's like, where is that? I don't even know where I am. He goes, and then he was just the entire time. And then when he would get dudes in headlocks, he had the guy, I think he had like Dolph or something in headlock. And he was just like talking to this guy. He's like, hey, how's it going down there? Yeah. And then it was just ridiculous shit. And he's so good at that. And it's true because I know kind of what you're saying. I know he's an asshole. Same thing kind of with Baron Corbin. Like he's like, if you've ever been to Kansas City, he looks like every dude from Kansas City. So like, you know, it's just like he doesn't even really have to play a character. He's just kind of playing, himself probably. But I know he's kind of an asshole though. Sammy is really been good as a heel. Obnoxious heel. Exactly. Yeah. Dolph is just like, he has a record scratch again. Like they got to figure that one out, man. They really got to figure that out because he's very good in the ring. He can be entertaining in the ring. But
Dolph wishes he was someone else. He wishes he was Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Or Shawn Michaels as a heel. He wishes that he was one of them as a heel. And that's actually what he sees himself as. The problem is, they had characters.
Yeah, I know.
Dear God, take your pick. Chris Jericho had 3 or 4.
A lot of incarnations.
Shawn Michaels had 1 or 2. Okay, Dolph, the only character he's ever had is Gigolo. Seriously, Gigolo. Okay, and that was the best character he had. But he's left it. He thinks he's a wrestler now. You know where wrestlers go? They don't go to the WWE.
Nope. They sure don't.
They sure don't. You know what? On my Twitch show Wednesday, the Wrestleview Weekly, I watched AJ Styles versus Bryan Danielson in 2004.
Yeah.
It was at a National Guard armory in New Albany, Indiana. Okay? That was wrestling. If that's what you want to do, and you don't have a character established, that's where you go. You perform in front of 25 people in folding chairs with 75% of them not filled. Okay? Knock yourself out. Get off the TV. Seriously.
Yeah. He's becoming a tough sell these days, so I do not blame you there. I loved Usos A New Day, and first of all,
this is the reason you should watch the show right here.
Oh yeah, and we've always talked about how great what the chemistry that these guys have together. But to have the Bludgeon Brothers walk out and just beat the shit out of everybody was, and it's been weeks and weeks of them just kind of, of them. Well, they've been beating up Jobber Dork. Well, it's so the Usos have been cutting this promo about how like who's left. And then they did finally get a little bit of a pushback from the New Day with that promo they showed tonight, which is really good. But the Bludgeon Brothers have been kind of slowly walking out, never giving eye contact with the Usos and just kind of walking by them. And then they'd go out and, beat up a bunch of dorks for a while, which is always entertaining to watch. Oh, yeah. But it's nice that, okay, so we had weeks and weeks and weeks of that. And now it's obviously going to build to some kind of triple threat tag match or whatever they decide to do at WrestleMania. They're going to be a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of multi-man stuff at Mania this year.
Right now we've already got the Intercontinental title between Miz, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins.
Which feels like Braun's going to get slid right in there.
I got no problem with it. I need Braun slipped in somewhere.
Because you think Braun's going to get slipped into Roman and Brock.
Yeah, I think that's still going to happen.
Okay.
It looks like there's going to be a 3-way for the U.S. title: Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what else now? It looks like you might have a 3-way for the tag titles,
which I'm fine with.
This one, though, of the 3 multi-man clusterfucks that we're talking about for WrestleMania, this is the one I'm excited for.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we know if you just took these 3 teams and you gave them their one-on-one matches between each other, 3 different matches between the 3 teams, you know they're going to be good. And you already have proof of it. I mean, go to Battleground 2014, Usos versus the Wyatt family, one of the greatest tag matches you'll ever watch. Just fabulous, fabulous. 3rd match in the card, destroyed the show. Absolutely destroyed the show. Yes, you know New Day and Usos are going to have a good match. They had 5 last year. Okay? So we don't need to say anything about them. New Day and Eric Rowan and Harper, they will have good matches. The one that just comes in my mind right now is when the New Day went to the Wyatt compound.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
yeah.
You know, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah,
you know, I like stupid stuff like that. But you know that they have good chemistry also. So there's nothing but great stuff that can happen with this match.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Bronx asked in the chat why anybody would be mad about the Bludgeon Brothers interfere. I don't know. I mean, like, because it's a title match, and when you have belt marks, they, oh, God damn it, how dare you break up a title match? And then, people just...
Well, because they're white and they're...
Because they're white. I did, as they entered at the house show last Sunday, this dude behind me goes, man, that is the cheesiest outfits I have ever seen in my life, but I love this. So, like, people know it's cheesy, but they still can't get past how great the music and, like, it's so cheesy. It's just the cheesiest thing you've ever seen. But when Rowan scoop slams Harper on top of somebody, it just, you can't, you get over that.
I just love it when they slap each other in the face.
That too, when they slap each other.
I love that. Slap them in the face, pick them up, and slam them on top of 2 other guys.
It's so
simple. Or
simple.
take your own man to throw him into the ring so he can beat the shit out of someone else.
It's just so much fun.
I love it. I love it.
I had a tweet here from, let's see, it's DSHman9, who said he was responding to our thoughts as we were doing the show. It said, I can't wait to see the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Authors of Pain. I would love to see that match because you got a little taste of the Authors of Pain at the last TakeOver show. I think you watched that. Mm-hmm. And granted, I don't know who any of them are. You couldn't tell the difference, but that would be fun, though. Like just a total brawl with the Bludgeon Brothers. And they have a lot of good tag teams down in NXT, but the Authors of Pain, I think, really stand out from a physicality standpoint. So...
don't get me wrong. I love me some Authors of Pain, but not on SmackDown. They can't be on SmackDown. They have to be on Raw. They can't be alongside Bludgeon Brothers. That sounds fabulous. Don't get me wrong. Yes, we would like to see something like that. But if you're wanting to build the Authors of Pain, bringing them up to the main roster, you can't have them alongside Bludgeon Brothers. You can't.
Brian Farmer asks, is the crowd dead silent for the Bludgeon Brothers because of the spectacle or because they're just not over? Well... They know them from the Wyatt family, so I don't know if they're all the SmackDowns I've watched. The reactions are loud and crazy when they're beating the shit out of guys. So maybe tonight was a different example. Maybe I wouldn't take tonight as like a microcosm representing the entire Bludgeon Brothers presentation. It was a little rough to start.
That crowd was pretty quiet throughout the entire show.
Yeah, Ohio gets too many fucking wrestling shows. That's why they're just spoiled. I've always said that.
Why don't they bring them to the South? I mean, we love wrestling.
How dare them? That's just too much wrestling in Ohio.
We revoked HB2. We like the gays now. You can come back.
We like the gays now. How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say tonight's a good representation of reactions for them, but I liked it. I know I didn't really see anybody pissed off on Twitter, but It's wrestling fans, so you never know.
Yeah.
Was there anything else on the card?
Charlotte had a match.
She had a match with Ruby Riott, who, I love Ruby's in-ring ability. I can't fucking stand her promo delivery, though. It's just,
yeah.
It reminds me of, who was the girl that was the general manager of ECW that then had a run in TNA? Drew McIntyre's ex-wife. Her name's escaping me. Taryn Terrell. Is that her name?
Taryn Terrell. Yeah, that was her in-ring. Yeah, that was the name, yeah.
Do you remember when she would, either she did like ring announcing for ECW or she was a general, I forget what her role was. But she would, her name was Tiffany in WWE. But she would, the way she would talk and deliver lines, she's like, the following contest is scheduled for one. It was just like, wow, you're really pronunciating, I
was about to say, I used to think I over-enunciated.
Well, the pronunciation was just like, wow, let's chill down. And Ruby, okay, so like Ruby's like, if you told someone, remember your lines, you would fucking love her. But the way she does it though, it's like she's good, but then tries too hard to be good. Does that make sense? Where someone's like, you're kind of like, ugh, like she just really talks like this, Doug, because Charlotte Flair. It's like, wow, like can we let's just talk. And again,
that reminds me of the first episode of the Boondocks.
I haven't seen that show.
Riley goes like, I know white people can't arrest you, and white people say the whole word like this.
That's Ruby. And
that is Ruby to a T.
To a T. And it's like, and again, I'm not saying she sucks, because like of those three girls, she's the most talented in the ring by far. Sarah Logan stinks in the ring. She is terrible.
Oh, God.
That girl was on the indies and I didn't see much of it, but holy shit is she bad in the ring. Like slop. And they do the whole, Corey Graves is like, well, she's got a non-traditional in-ring style, which is like their way of covering up for how much she sucks in the ring. I've watched weeks and weeks of her on Smackdown, and I gave her a pass for a couple weeks because they get the Panicky Pete jitters and stuff, but whew, she's terrible in the ring. So, but it's just like, I don't know, man. That's the one thing that kind of bugs me about Ruby, but Ruby's also so good in the ring. I get over it pretty quick. I can't get too hung up on it, but they had a good match tonight. I liked them teasing that Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan were going to get in the ring, and then Naomi and Becky Lynch jumped in. And then they got kicked out, and then the other girls got kicked out. So I thought that was fun. And then Asuka's going to challenge Charlotte for the title at WrestleMania. So
because Asuka came out.
Yeah, she did her little dance. The more charismatic version of Shinsuke Nakamura is Asuka.
Yeah, I would say I like her music over Nakamura's.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Also, this match had a very Gem and the Holograms versus the Misfits feel to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I remember.
Yeah.
But seriously, that's kind of what it looked like, You had the very polished, well-to-do, affluent women going against the rambunctious, ne'er-do-well females that, just don't fit in society and wear their hair all weird and have tattoos. And that's kind of what it looked like. Ruby Riott's music does not fit her character at all.
It doesn't. I know they're doing the punk thing, but like it's a very low energy. I feel like Donald Trump, very low energy punk theme. Like it's like you could have done something a little more. It doesn't feel like a heel team.
It doesn't even feel like punk at all.
No, it's like a generic.
It feels like the second stage of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Does. It's a weird vibe. It's a very weird. They need to change that one. I've been kind of waiting for them to do that, and they don't seem to. They don't seem to care. But
no. They need better music, better everything, and they got to change the names of one of these girls. Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, that's going to get confusing.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that too.
I mean, they sound the same. They have the same number of syllables. Stupid people like me who are drinking horrible malt beverages like these will get them mixed up, okay?
It's a little confusing.
It's very confusing. Sarah Logan's horrible.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan is just fine.
Sarah Logan has a good look. Like she looks like a pro wrestler, and then she starts wrestling. You go, oh, but I forgot. And
I have a good look as a computer engineer, but I sure as fuck am not a computer engineer.
I'm surprised though, because she was Crazy Mary Dobson or something on the indie scene, and I always hear people say, "Oh, you got to see Crazy Mary. She's so good." I'm like, okay, and then I finally see her, and I'm like, All right. That's not very good.
The match was okay though. The match was fine.
It was fine. I enjoyed it.
Told a decent story. I do like the story of, these three ladies in the Riot Squad, and their sole purpose is to dismantle the Queen.
Yeah, that's fine.
I totally get that. And they told a great story throughout 3-4 episodes of SmackDown. I mean, of all the matches that they had that were in this pay-per-view, apart from the six-pack challenge, this was the best booked, best written one. And you wouldn't think any of the wiser watching this match. It was a pretty decent, pretty fun match. Just sans mute your TV when Ruby comes out.
Yeah, it's a little bit much. I think Ebony said on our Facebook group that it's kind of funny to watch Charlotte wrestle these girls because Charlotte looks so big compared to them.
Oh, yeah.
She's so tall, and she's like 5'10", 5'11".
She's 5'10", 5'11".
And these girls are like 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", and she just looks like an Amazon compared to them. So that's kind of it's a weird contrast a little bit. I know we're supposed to, it's wrestling, so suspend the disbelief there a little bit, but yeah, it looks. I never really noticed that with Charlotte. Is that because she was wrestling? Because Sasha's a little bit taller, Bayley's a little bit taller, Nia is obviously taller and bigger. But maybe it's, I don't know. I never really got that vibe with Charlotte and Sasha, but all of a sudden when I saw her in there with like Ruby and Liv Morgan, I was like, Jesus, she's fucking, she's huge.
I think it has a lot to do with the angles. You saw her at a lot of studio angles at NXT.
Yeah.
And so it was really nearly parallel to the ring. But it's just weird as you get to more angled shots and you look down, you really don't see the height differences. But as you get parallel to the ring, you really see those height differences. I guess for me is that I've always known that she's tall because she played volleyball in high school here in Charlotte.
Yep.
So yeah, she's a tall drink of water, and there's not many others that are as tall as her, except for maybe Nia Jax. So yeah.
Can we bill you from the Queen City from now on when I do these podcasts?
As long as you don't say it as long as Matthews does.
Yeah, the Queen City. Is it Matthews or who's the dude that does the comment?
No, I'm trying to remember his name. Don't get me wrong, the ring announcer is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think he's the best one they got, but man, does he draw it out.
He does. Kind of very Tony Chimmel of him to do the rated R superstar.
The superstar.
Anything else on the show that you wanted to hit? That was about the most. It was a rough, I think, first hour, and then
Rusev Nakamura was.
Everyone was like, good fucking match. I'm like, okay.
Japan.
Sure, okay. Like they had to do something with Shinsuke, I guess, going into Mania, so it was fine. I didn't hate it, but I was just like,
do something with Rusev too. So.
That match was rough. Randy Bobby was rough. The women's tag outside of Carmella yelling all the time, that was rough.
But just thank God for the Bludgeon Brothers, because if they did not come out at all, this pay-per-view was going to be rough.
Well, that match between the Usos and New Day was going fine before they even walked out. So I would say it really picked up at Usos New Day, and the rest of it was fine. But that was a rough first hour and a half. Very, very rough.
Oh, Greg Hamilton's his name.
Greg Hamilton. Okay. Sorry, Greg. We didn't do that on purpose.
I probably did.
Let's go to the Twitter machine and see what people are thinking.
Yeah, what are they thinking?
57% thumbs up so far, Douglas, for the show tonight. 32% in the middle, 11% thumbs down. What's your grade? You do the thumbs up? Because you don't do the thumbs in the middle.
No, I got to give thumbs down.
You're doing thumbs down tonight. Ooh.
I just can't think of a match that, I'm going to...
That's right.
I'm going to watch Fastlane, and what is the one reason I'm going to watch this match? If it's for one reason I'm going to tune into the pay-per-view. If it's because of an occurrence, like the Cheese Brothers coming out and beating up the people who aren't white, no, that's not the reason. Okay, it's got to be for a match of some kind, and there just really isn't one.
I'm doing the thumbs in the middle. I did not like the first hour and a half.
Oh, you're a coward. You're a goddamn coward.
It was average for me. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just average. So I'm going with.
Well, if it was average, then you would have bought it and you would have given it a thumbs up then.
Nah, I'm going in the middle. I thought it was fine for what it was. It was okay, but it was very speed bumpy. It felt very speed bumpy, like most shows do going into Mania. Mania's in 4 weeks, Douglas. You getting hyped? 4 weeks.
Oh, I'm getting prepped.
Yeah, I'm drinking that night for sure. I think we deserve a celebration beer when that show's over, because that show's just going to be a marathon to watch. What did we estimate last time? It was like it was 7 hours. Was last year?
Yeah. Oh God.
So,
well, that was the year I watched nearly 11 to 12 hours of wrestling content.
Don't do that
day.
again. Don't do that again. That's good.
I'm not going to do that again.
You're going to destroy yourself. Yeah, I've blocked off the entire next day just to give myself some time to recuperate, because I didn't do that last year and I wanted to.
I've taken all of Sunday and Monday off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
We're looking at WrestleMania being upwards of 5 hours long.
More than that, I think. Well, you add in the 2-hour pre-show. I mean, if you watch the pre-show, but
if we do,
yeah, it'll be close. I know Mike has graciously offered to cover the first half of WrestleMania for me, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to do that or not.
Well, that's nice of him.
But because he knows how long that day is. But then Raw the next night's also very long for him too, so I need to. It's just that whole week is going to be really big. Friday's the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's Takeover, Sunday's Mania, and then you got the Raw and SmackDown to follow.
This is the first time I might watch the Hall of Fame live.
I have been the last couple of years, just because we've wanted to cover it for Wrestleview when they have some of the bigger names go in. But it's kind of a fun show. I've
never watched it live.
Well, I'm contemplating. I guess now would be a good time to ask this. We can kind of get a quick reaction from the chat room. Would you guys like to see some more podcasts that weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you like to see a podcast after Takeover where we talk about Takeover and the Hall of Fame? And then we come back the next night to talk about Mania. What do you think? Because there's a lot of wrestling going on that weekend. So I figure people are going my concern was people would just kind of skip over a post-Takeover Hall of Fame show in favor of a Mania show. But it's also a pretty big weekend, and those are kind of separate entities. We're getting unanimous yeses right now, Doug. So
I've got to say right now, Shifty gives him saying terrible Hall of Fame this year outside of Ivory and Dudley's. You shut the hell up. Watch some Hillbilly Jim.
Hillbilly Jim, Jeff Jarrett, Goldberg. How dare you, sir?
I'm just leaving it at Hillbilly Jim, okay? If you don't like Hillbilly Jim, you are not a human being. Okay, seriously.
Hayden Barker says, I really want to see Doug talk about Adam Cole more, so he gets the Bay. He's going to be pulling double duty at TakeOver, most likely.
Oh, shit, that's right.
So we're going to get a lot of Bay stuff.
I'll do an NXT TakeOver show, just because if Adam Cole Bay, whatever the fuck he is.
I love that so much. There's a real good UFC pay-per-view that night too, which I fucking hate that they booked that the same weekend. So I might have to skip that. But
well, they planned on doing that, Adam. You know.
I know. I really wanted to see. There's some good fights though. But I guess I'll have to catch it later.
Is it some Brazilian guy going against the Colombian?
No. There's a lot of last minute stuff. It's 22-23, I think. So. Tony Ferguson and Khabib for the lightweight title. That's going to be fucking awesome. There's an awesome rematch between Thug Rose and Joanna Champion, former champion. Wanted to see that fight. There's 2 good fights on that card. So I can see it later, though. It's fine. I'll be all right. I'll survive.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll survive. I just, man, the UFC is just a lot better than professional wrestling these days, unfortunately. It's more intriguing matchups and they really you know what I really wish the WWE would do around these big shows, just fucking follow these people around the way the UFC does. UFC does this embedded show, and you would be shocked, Doug, at how invested you become in these fighters when they just follow them around. Like, just fucking follow these people around. Like, follow them around at house shows and what they do on their off days. And I know they kind of have been doing that with the 24 shows, and then they do the 365 shows. So they're focusing on, a core group of people or one person, but I don't know, man. You gotta do a little bit more sometimes. And I know they have a lot of content. I know the rate at which the WWE is producing content to the rate at which the UFC is producing content is night and day. So I can't apples and oranges, obviously, but they're doing more shows. But still, it's like, man, I really wish they would do more shit like that. I think that'd be awesome. Douglas.
But that's what they're doing with holding the phones and doing those little instant Instagram type videos during the TV shows, and you have little meme letters coming up while they're promoting.
Those are so bad.
Don't you like that, Adam? Come on.
Really
It's like
don't.
it's real time.
I really don't like those.
Okay.
They're a kind of. Do they do those on Raw, or are they only on SmackDown?
Oh, they do them on both Raw and SmackDown. In the same format, same letter font, same everything.
I kind of want to.
If all these people doing these things with their phone don't have their own characters and don't have their own fonts and shit that they would use.
We should do.
Come on.
We should do smartphone promos, Doug, for our WrestleMania show, and to get people hyped for WrestleMania. I want to see Doug in promo mode with the smartphone. Just kind of get that's all they're doing. They're just holding it up. They're going, yeah, so and that's all they're doing. It's just they're trying to tap into what the kids are doing.
Adam, I'm drunk. The show's gonna suck.
That's all they're doing. They're trying to be getting good with the kids right there. That's all they're doing.
Well, that's what the kids are doing.
It's what the kids are doing. Do you want to hit up some news that we've missed since our last podcast, sir? I know you talk about a lot of this on Twitch, so I'm trying to avoid repeating. Some of the stuff
no
that you
problem. Let's
talk
talk about stuff because there's got to be viewpoints that I've missed.
Yeah. First one, Andre the Giant. Did you see they showed the new trailer tonight?
I have seen the second trailer. Yes.
Yeah, I'm obviously not going to play that trailer, but it's on Wrestleview because HBO will get mad. But God, this one had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and Robin Wright, who was in what's the movie Princess Bride?
Yep.
Billy Crystal was in that movie too, so they have different perspectives. But Hogan's in it. Flair. I do think it's interesting Hogan's in it because this is a WWE produced documentary. So that is interesting that they're kind of squeezing him in there. I don't know if that's a hint at the future, but
I'm not reading is that they got to have him in there.
They have to have him in there to talk about it, but I'm really looking forward to that documentary. That comes out April the 10th, and Doug, I'm going to effort to get you a screener ahead of time so we can talk about it, possibly for the Mania show.
God, yes.
Did you know that the Impact World Champion Austin Aries showed up at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Friday night?
He has a lot of things.
He's got a lot of belts. He's been collecting belts, Douglas.
I'm imagining him that he will become a mummy soon, where his rapping will just be belts.
Just belts. He so that did surprise a lot of people. He's the current Impact World Champion, but he did reveal on a conference call a month or so ago that he's actually not under contract with Impact, and the new regime at Impact is taking this new approach, Doug, where they're kind of trying
will take anything they can get.
Well, so like Scott D'Amore and Don Callis and Ed Nordholm at Anthem, they're very aware at how damaged the brand is. So they're literally doing like the opposite of everything that like Dixie Carter, Jeff Jarrett. They're no longer going to enforce copyright or trademark stuff with characters. That's why EC3 can be EC3 in NXT right now. That's why they kind of gave up on the whole Hardy's Broken Universe thing. They're just so they totally signed off on Austin Aries walking out on a Ring of Honor show, which is funny because when you hear people talk about wrestling, like the wrestling landscape now, they never say TNA or Impact ever. They're always talking about Ring of Honor, New Japan. They're talking about promotions.
They never talk about their own company, what they are called.
No, I'm saying when I hear wrestlers talk about the landscape, they just don't mention Impact. So I think they're very aware of that. So they're trying to like go, okay, I know we have a reputation. We're trying to change that reputation. And that's, Austin Aries walking out on a pay-per-view as the world champion on a Ring of Honor show is different. So I give them credit for trying to mix that up there. But he's collecting belts, Douglas. That's what he's doing.
So what he looks like a couple of members of our Wrestleview media page.
He does, yeah, just a little bit.
We have a couple of belt collectors on our site.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
WWE is currently, they did film the Ultimate Deletion at the Hardy compound. So,
I can't wait for this one.
And Jeremy Borash was part of that too, because he was a part of the originals back in the TNA days. So
imagine the original, deletion, but with WWE's budget.
Yeah, just imagine. It's going to be probably bigger and better, most likely.
I'm very, very interested in this because I've never seen the first one.
Apparently there's some breaking Jeff Hardy news here that I was not made aware of until now.
Oh shit, he sent meth in a coffee can again, didn't he?
Boy. So apparently Jeff Hardy was arrested on Saturday, which was yesterday, March the 10th. He was charged with driving while impaired in Cameron, North Carolina.
No shock.
Arrested at 10:20 p.m. He was released a little over an hour later. No details have been released. He has been hit with a 30-day pretrial revocation of his driver's license, which means he would not be able to drive legally in the state or anywhere for that matter. He's slated to appear in court on April 16th. Jason Namiko, if you're listening, please get that up on Wrestleview ASAP because I'm currently hosting a podcast on YouTube and I am unable to do so. But he's had some run-ins. You used to run down the Jeff Hardy arrest list back 2010.
I used to run down that arrest warrant every week.
Yeah, that's not good.
The counts that he had against him. It's no shock. No shock at all. Driving while impaired. Who know what the impairment may be, whether it be liquid, vegetable, or mineral.
Yeah, not good.
Who knows?
Not good.
Nope.
Looks like Jason got it up on Wrestleview, so thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Did you know that NXT is about to debut a new title, Douglas, at TakeOver?
I kind of talked about. Well, I didn't really talk about it, but it did break while I was doing the broadcast.
Okay.
Wednesday.
And this is the North American Championship. And
yeah,
I don't know. Do you think NXT needs because they have the NXT title, they have the NXT tag titles, the women's title? Do you think do they need something that kind of as a buffer to getting to the main event? Maybe does that? I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm.
Can we? I really want to flash back here, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. Do you remember a WWF where all they had was world title, intercontinental title, and tag titles?
Yeah. Well, I remember winning the intercontinental title meant that person was about to most likely challenge for the WWF Championship, and the intercontinental champion you would either be part of the Hogan tour or you were part of the Intercontinental Champion tour, which is the stuff I would see as a kid, like Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that as Intercontinental Champion.
No, because we got when I lived in Ohio and when that was going at that time, we kind of had both, because it ran through Cleveland and you could catch Columbus and you can get the Intercontinental one down there. But I guess what I'm alluding to is, so imagine the WWF back in the day where it had those titles. Do you think the NXT roster is diverse enough to house those titles in relation to what was going on in the WWF at that time? I don't think it is.
Yeah, maybe not. But it does. I see a lot of people saying it's going to be like a TV title, essentially.
Internet title?
Well, they're on the network.
I'm confused.
Yeah, a form of a television title. So the people that are going to be going for it.
Don't make me crack open another one of these fucking drinks.
So
my
it's going to
brain
be
just exploded. Television title on an internet show.
But look at the people. But look at the people they're picking though. Killian Dane, who I think is awesome. You love Lars Sullivan. He's in the match.
He is Baron von Underbite.
Very much so. Velveteen Dream, who's awesome. Yeah. Your boy Adam Cole, baby. EC3, formerly of Impact Wrestling.
I would like to change his name to Act 3.
Act 3. You can just call him Act 3 if you want.
Act 3.
And then Mr. Flippy Dippy himself, Ricochet, who's getting a lot of good reactions on the NXT live events. Ricochet. So essentially, now where they could get in trouble. So right now they're elevating. Who's challenging Almas now for the title?
The really dark guy from
Alistair. Is it Alistair? How do you pronounce it? Alistair Black. He was doing something. Steve with tattoos. He was doing something with Killian Dane, I saw, and then they diverted that. Before it was Johnny Gargano and Almas, but so maybe while they decide, okay, this is our main event program for that, we then have this other title over here that can then kind of bring up some of the, and maybe it's a temporary, maybe I'm just thinking in the now. I'm not really thinking 6 months to a year down the line. But I don't know. I'm willing to see how it plays out. We'll see.
I'm kind of looking at more, I'm looking more from a logistics standpoint, I guess. I'm looking more to where they plan on broadening NXT.
Sure.
And what I mean by broadening is that it could turn into a 2-hour show at one point.
Interesting.
They could be bringing more people into their roster, expanding their roster a little bit, whether it be with new talent or bringing talent from the main into the NXT roster, which I still think is going to happen. I still see that as that's a win-win for both. Also, there are TV negotiations coming up.
Yes, there is.
And NXT is part of the WWE as far as I can remember. And there are some entities that are vying for WWE's attention that have far greater outreach than what USA is just by itself.
It's funny you bring that up, Douglas, because...
really? Is there something you're going to talk about?
That's so weird. It looks like there's a little little company called Fox that's showing a little interest in the WWE.
Well, I'll be damned.
Wouldn't it be great to have NXT on FS2 or FS1 to fill some time and maybe get 1 million people or something? That'd be kind of nice, right?
It's just an idea.
Just an idea. It's
throwing
funny.
It out there.
When I tossed this story, people were like, Fox? Why would Fox? I remember there was a comment, and that poor fella, he got just hammered in the comments.
Yeah.
He was talking about why would Fox want to buy a low-rated show like WWE? And I went,
oh boy,
fella, you're not paying. So
that's when you go, hold on, let me go get some popcorn real quick.
Well, and this is the thing, though. I'm sure that gentleman has been exposed to the narrative that has been set forth by the Dave Meltzers and the Dave Scherers and the Mike Johnsons and the Wade Kellers and all those guys who compare television ratings from 1999 to 2018, and they'll tell you how low. Now, granted, yes, when you take the numbers, and you put them on a screen, yes, they are lower than what they were doing during the Attitude Era, what they were maybe even doing in 2005. But when you actually look at the television landscape as things stand now, outside of the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and the NBA, outside of live sports, there is no one. I mean, there's your occasional pop-up shows like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead's on a downtrend anyway with ratings right now. Mm-hmm. But when you look at what the WWE draws year-round, they're consistently in the top 10 or top 20 shows on cable every single week, including SmackDown. So there's a reason Fox wants to just jump in, grab someone. They know they can get some ratings. I thought the most fascinating aspect of this story, Doug, was the portion that said they would like to put Raw on Fox, on broadcast television, be a 2-hour show on Monday night. Mm-hmm. That would be fascinating to see.
I'm very curious about two things. Number one, can Fox adequately promote it?
Oh, I'm sure they could.
Oh, no, I have no confidence in that at all. None whatsoever.
Okay, so I disagree with you wholeheartedly on that one, because when they signed the UFC, I saw nothing but weeks and weeks and weeks of videos, advertising everywhere. When the first UFC, now I'm talking not FS1, I'm talking broadcast television.
Right.
Saturday night prime time. Yeah. It was Junior Dos Santos versus Cain Velasquez for the heavyweight championship. It was the first UFC show on prime time. They did a ton of promotion for it. Now, I'll give you this. That was a Saturday night primetime slot. This is Monday night, 2 hours. Not to mention they would be, well, I don't know if you would consider broadcast versus cable competition now that Monday Night Football is on cable. But they would obviously have to be facing competition from football when that comes back around. But man, with
the last I'm just going to break it to you right now.
Okay.
The last television show that Fox had as a weeknight show that they promoted, and it stayed around, was American Idol.
Okay.
They've had Arrested Development. They've had tons of new shows that have been coming out. They promote, of all the network television stations that you could think of that always have, sweeps week and promoting new shows, premieres and stuff like that, Fox is the worst. Because they will say that they have got 6 or 7 brand new shows, and after 3 weeks they are gone.
and that
never hear from them again.
And you're right. In that context, you are right, because there was a joke I saw in an episode of Family Guy where they were showing the lower thirds pop up, and they said, "Hey, you remember this show? How that didn't last for more than 6 weeks." But I think this is different because this is a live entertainment platform presentation show where it's not like it's not a pre-recorded, then we show it. It's kind of almost, I hate to use the word sports, but it is that kind of sports live presentation. It's a different vibe. Now, where I will agree with you is if they don't get the numbers that they're expecting, like if they set the bar real high, oh boy, will Fox drop them in a heartbeat. So it could be, but they're going to get a guaranteed contract. So even when that does happen, like right now, it's pretty clear they're willing to cut ties with the UFC. They have UFC shows on Broadcast Fox. They have UFC shows on FS1. They have a bunch of UFC branded shows on FS1. They have all the sports content on FS1 with the Colin Cowherd show and the Undisputed show, and they're all talking about the UFC on that stuff. But
just because they're under contract and they have to talk about it. My God, it's amazing to see how much Colin Cowherd is really interested in wrestling.
I know,
man. Fuck that.
I remember when Eddie Guerrero died, and he goes, "Why are we making a big deal about Eddie Guerrero dying?" He goes, "That's like if you made a big deal about a soap opera star dying, and you gave that." And I remember people were like viciously upset with him, and he said, wrestling fans eat their boogers and everything. And then he attends a live Smackdown in Los Angeles, and he's like, "Oh, it's like
suddenly it's just like a rock concert.
Yeah, it's a rock concert.
So much fun in my life.
Yeah.
Fuck off."
I know he's kind of a goof, but he's part of that hot take sports environment, where one week they're saying something, the next week they totally change their minds. But
it's because they're paid.
They're paid, yeah. But I think the Fox thing could be interesting though, especially if they're willing to dump the UFC right now. So.
Well, let's be honest. UFC's on a downturn. How much did UFC get promoted during NFL games?
More than you think, but that's only
Will
if there was
WWE get promoted?
I don't know. That's a good question. If they would promote Raw or SmackDown on a weekly NFL show, that's a good point.
Because don't get me wrong. Just take a step back from this. This all sounds incredibly fascinating. Believe me, all of us as wrestling fans are getting hard thinking about this. Okay, seriously.
Collective boners.
Or
lady boners, too.
Because coming from me, I've been watching this shit since primetime wrestling with Bobby Heenan and Monsoon Monday nights on USA Network during the infancy of cable TV. This is how long I've been watching it, okay? The only time it's ever been on network TV was Saturday night's main event on NBC once in a blue moon.
Yep.
Okay? So understand that this collective hard-on about this prospect is warranted, all right? But we need to be incredibly cynical and viciously realistic about it, okay? Imagining who the entity is that we're going to and what the pro is going to be for the WWE to do this. The number one reason they want to do this is not just for exposure to get their name out there, it's ad revenue. What kind of take are they going to get from ad revenue? Will they get the same ad revenue that they would get from USA Network going to Fox? Will Fox, do they have enough brand recognition to attract the advertisers? Right now, if we're looking at weeknight television, Fox sucks. They suck, okay? They don't attract any advertisers at all.
It's got to be better than NBC, though.
But the plus for Fox is that, well, we don't have to pay anything to produce this.
True.
We've just bought the NFL of, regular broadcast television to come in and do a show for us to fill up some time. We don't have to do crap. All we have to do is tell people they're on our network.
Just give them the airtime, and then it's going to bring in viewers.
Giving them the airtime is nothing, but it's just promoting it.
Promoting is the key.
And they suck at promoting.
I don't know, man. I saw how they handled the UFC, and I know that's on the downturn, but I don't know. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about it, but maybe
ask Seth MacFarlane how they are at promoting.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That's different, though.
Ask Matt Groening how they are at promoting. Okay, this is regular television show. Okay, the comparison we make to sports is that they're just paying a contract and they're making the product. That's the only comparison to sports. But Fox right now, man, I have no faith in it at all.
Doug is already poo-pooing it, giving it a pile driver.
Yeah. Fuck
WWE is going to start getting real aggressive with international markets this year. They look like they're going to run a 100,000 seat stadium in Melbourne.
I am psyched about this one. I'm psyched about this one.
They don't like it when you say Melbourne. They say Melbourne. So sorry about that.
Melbourne.
That last time they ran in that city, they did a 55,000 seat stadium back in 2002 or 3, I think, and it was Rock versus Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. And Hogan was supposed to be the draw, and then he quit. This is when he did the Mr. America thing, and then he got.
Oh yeah,
that didn't go too well. So there's going to be that, and then they're going to be doing a 50-man Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia in April. Mm-hmm. So they're getting real aggressive. I guess Vince and Triple H both flew out to Saudi Arabia to finalize this deal. So this was a pretty big deal for them. So 50-man Rumble. I have no idea if that's going to be broadcast on the network. They've gave no indication whatsoever. I think it's going to be kind of an exclusive to that area. I have no idea if the Australia thing is going to be broadcast, but you would think they'd want to show 100,000 people if they can pack that thing full.
Yeah, between the two, if they're only going to be able to get one of those on the WWE network, it's going to be that show in Australia.
I would hope so. I would like
to see it. Absolutely. I mean, a little 50-man Royal Rumble, which,
That's a big stadium, too, man. That'd be pretty cool to see a wrestling match.
That'd be mega awesome.
Very pretty.
If they could show it live, that'd be even better.
Apparently, some people got mad that Brock Lesnar beat Kane in 35 seconds in Chicago was it last weekend? Yeah. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the audio of some people in the crowd, but
no, I didn't.
Let's take a little listen to this one.
Could we?
Try not to blow people's ears up, but this is the clip I put up on Wrestleview. Let's see if I can get this to play here. So here we go. The guy goes, "Oh, not like this," really loud, and then at the end, he goes, "We paid for that." Now, here's the thing, though, and I did write this at the end of the report. That match between Brock and Kane, yes, it lasted like 35 seconds, but it was the main event. It was like the 4th match or something, or the 5th match on the card.
Yeah.
And it clicked for me. So I saw how fucking pissed off people were. There were some people that were pissed on a Wrestleview media thing, and then I went, "Oh, so this is how we're gonna get the build for Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania is Brock doesn't care. Brock's going to show up and wrestle for as long as he wants to. He's not going to show up to Raw even if you advertise him. Maybe Paul Heyman walks out instead." I love every second of this. He wrestled in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Friday or Saturday. I think it was Friday. And he beat the shit out of The Miz and the Miztourage in like 2-3 minutes, and he was out. I love that he grabs the belt and rolls out and he's just done. He's out of there. So I like this. It's astonishing to me when wrestling fans see that and it just goes right over their head. And I don't know if that's just because they're approaching wrestling still so seriously, or they're not thinking big picture, or I don't know. But it was astonishing to me to see how angry people were at that he beat Kane in like 35 seconds.
Oh no, they take it too seriously. They have always taken it seriously.
Yeah,
it will always fly over their head. It always will. Workers keep working.
Yeah, workers work, man. So
workers keep working, and those that love being worked talk about how they are worked.
More power to them. I love what they're doing right now. So I'm intrigued. I said the last show, I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling this match, but I'm liking the build towards it. And then one last thing here, Doug, because I know we're going a little long here.
It's fun.
Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates, technically not Chicago, but it's outside of Chicago. I actually lived right by this arena. It's a suburb of Chicago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was Schaumburg. It was nice.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be hosting that All-In event that Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks are booking. So I think
this one here, the privately paid thing by the performers. Okay.
So I think we talked about this on the last podcast, but Dave Meltzer had a tweet where someone said, "Do you think Ring of Honor could fill a 10,000 seat arena?" And Dave goes, "No, not at this time." And then Cody Rhodes saw that and said, "Well, I'll take that bet." And then they talked about financing a wrestling show and trying to book a 10,000 seat arena. And they found one, which was this arena, the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates, just outside Chicago. The capacity is actually 11,000, but they'll probably set it up for just, 10 or whatever they end up doing. It can't be cheap to book an arena, first of all. This is a big arena. Like, this isn't like how a lot of wrestling companies will run the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York, and that's kind of a wrestling hub, and it can seat a couple thousand people. This place is big. This is 11. I've been in there. I went to it wasn't Strike. I don't think it was Strike Force. May have been Strike Force when Fedor was fighting on the card, and it was being broadcast live on CBS, and it's a big arena. So it's not like a tiny arena. It's very, very big. This is pretty aggressive of them. I'm actually thinking about driving out to Chicago to check this out because, okay, first of all, you know me. We've had conversations. Not a big fan of the Young Bucks. But I have to give them credit though. I for as much as I'm not into like the Young Bucks, Bullet Club, Too Sweet stuff, this is pretty fucking aggressive. And I have to acknowledge and give someone credit that they're trying to do something that Ring of Honor is funded by $1 million, billion-dollar company with Sinclair. They're not doing this.
Oh, no way. No.
TNA is now Impact Wrestling and is now funded by Anthem, but they're not doing this. Obviously, if any company could try to do this stateside, it would be New Japan Pro Wrestling, but they're sort of creeping in that Long Beach market. But this is super, super aggressive to be doing this. I almost don't know if I want to be the dick that says, do they sell 10,000 tickets to this? Because that's, I'm going to be, if you want to go that route, that's cool. I'm not going to tell you what to say.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about going to this and checking it out just because of the balls that I give them credit. It takes a lot of balls to do something like this. So I'm going to check it out. Stephen Amell from Arrow is going to be on the show because he's friends with Cody. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Bullet Club guys. That's about all they've announced so far. Tickets aren't on sale yet. I think maybe May they'll go on sale. Obviously a lot of people are wanting CM Punk to show up because it's Chicago and it's not WWE affiliated, which he could, but I don't think he will. Because that would be very expensive to try to book someone of his stature, especially for somebody that's been completely removed from professional wrestling. But I don't know, man. I give them a lot of credit for trying this. I don't know what you think of it, but I think it's interesting.
Oh, number one, I'm not taking anything away from them. More power to them. It's a fabulous, fabulous idea. They're going through that. But at first, when they announced something like this, we were like, yeah, right, go right ahead. But now they're going through with it. You know what? More power to them. That's awesome. I am not going to set a bar on whether it's going to be a success or not. I think it's a success that they've already looked into leasing the building. Okay. And they're following through with what the capacity would be. Okay, whether it be 10 or 11,000, because I thought, like you were thinking, I was thinking they would just go along the lines of, they leased out the Cabarrus County Fair lot here in Charlotte. Okay, that's used for, horse shows that TNA would book for themselves. Okay, no, that's not what they're going gung ho. More power to them. My only thing is, okay, so who are you inviting to this show? How are you going to get butts in the seats?
That's a big thing. And I think
what's your plans here?
They're building towards this big match between Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega to like break up the Bullet Club. But that's part of a Ring of Honor show in New Orleans during WrestleMania weekend. That to me was the match that you save for a show like this. But and I guess Ring of Honor might be helping with this All-In show. I'm not really sure. They gave indications that they might help. But yeah, that's an excellent point. Like you have to be, if you're gonna do this, you can't just book it because everyone likes to wear Bullet Club t-shirts and say "Too Sweet." Like I see them I was at a wrestling show last Sunday in the middle of nowhere in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I probably counted 20 to 30 Bullet Club shirts. Granted, there was like 4,000 people there, so 30 people out of 4,000 isn't like astounding. But when you go to a wrestling show, you'll see Bullet Club t-shirts. You know that those are the real wrestling fans, I guess, if you want to say that.
Yeah, because real wrestling fans go to Hot Topic.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but at the same time, though, I give them credit for doing this, but you're right. They got to book something that's going to want to, and unless people are just so supportive of what they've been trying to do on the indie scene and the show they do on YouTube, that they'll fly out to Chicago in droves and try to fill that place up.
But it sounds like they're trying to put together a convention more than a wrestling show.
It's a little bit of a convention. I think they're going to be doing some kind of a podcast convention, maybe with podcast wrestling shows that weekend. But it's aggressive. It's a very, very big.
If there is a way
arena
that you can secure a table, though the Young Bucks have blocked you on Twitter.
Well, one of them has, not both.
Oh, okay. With the other one? Oh, good. So we're batting 500 on the flippy.
Batting 500, yeah, with the flippy guys. Yeah.
If there is a way that you can secure a table, I would be more than happy to fly up.
It's Labor Day weekend, so it's September 1st.
Oh, don't care.
So it's going to be a long weekend, and they might be doing a convention. There's a company that's organizing stuff, so I'm trying to figure out stuff. But
I will set aside $200 to buy Cheetos for everybody.
We could, you know, what we could do is we could put Cheetos on our table, and then
that's my plan.
Just have a little bowl of Cheetos. People would be so mad at us.
Bowl of Cheetos? No, I will throw Cheetos at people.
Just like walk by, we'll just throw Cheetos as we podcast.
Yeah. Once I hear someone just say something stupid, I just throw Cheetos at them.
Yeah.
It's like, you look hungry.
You look but yeah, it's September 1st. I have no idea if they're going to broadcast this show live on like pay-per-view or with Ring of Honor's Honor Club or with another streaming. I have no idea. There's a lot of details are vague, but we know for sure it's September 1st. It's in Hoffman Estates at the Sears Center. What's so funny?
I'm sorry. I just have so many like visions of you and I sitting at this table at this thing. Because it reminds me of when we went to WrestleMania Access.
Oh, I remember that.
And you and I were just going, oh, God, look at the size of that one.
That was like going to a zoo, except
seriously, this is what it's going to be. It is going to be a zoo.
It will really. And at that point, too, can we maybe
magnified by 50, dude. Seriously.
Would you consider making some Lackey Club shirts and just seeing? Because I've always wanted to make a Lackey Club shirt so we can. I have a t-shirt distributor now, so
well, I know you are kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so we can make some Lackey. Would people like some Lackey Club shirts? Because
people come up with designs.
Yes,
or something.
Obviously, they would probably get pissed if we rip off the. Well, that's kind of the whole point, though, is to rip off the.
Can we have so the Lackey Club design instead of guns, they be Cheetos.
Yes. Okay, I am all in, as they would say with this. We would do Cheetos instead of the guns, yes.
Oh, God, I'm so for this, okay? If there's a way you can secure a table.
Okay, I'll make it happen.
I so want to do this. This is going to be so horrible.
I know, but I think we can make. I think we can make. So we should work on Lackey Club shirts, and then we should work on this event. I think this would be fun to go to because I haven't gone to like a bigger wrestling show for a while. I'd like to go to WrestleMania next year. But for some reason this year, they're really holding out on making the announcement. I don't know if they're going to wait till the week of WrestleMania to really...
They probably will.
It probably will. And we're thinking MetLife Stadium next year, which is going to be cold again. But I'd like to go to that.
Because we'll have to drink more. That's all that means.
Which is fine. And we have so many people on the Wrestleview staff out east. I think it would only make sense to go out there. But yeah, we'll figure out what's going on with this All In show. But yeah, I'd like to have some Lackey Club t-shirts to wear. I think that'd be
Jesus Christ.
That'd be a good time. That'd be fun. Good stuff. All right, Douglas. We're gonna get the hell out of here. I know we're going a little long for you, so sorry about that. Did you enjoy losing your hour of sleep tonight? Or today?
Oh yeah, sure did.
Yeah. It should be like a little close to midnight now, just now. But
I got another one of these in the fridge.
You gonna drink it?
I'm probably going to chug it to help me go to sleep. It? Oh, yeah, I can't believe how quickly I downed this thing.
That's awesome. The strawberry. What's it called?
It's nice to have a nice. It's called Strawberryta.
Strawberryta. I'm going to need to make sure I stock up for our Mania show and make sure we have some beverages for that night because that's going to be a long night. It's going to be.
Oh yeah, in the chat room, Ashley, pretty girl, Jeff Hardy just got fucking arrested. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate. We just
kind of talked about that. If you if you tune in Wednesday night, I'll talk about the arrest warrants that he had.
Oh boy, Doug.
I'll go over his entire record if you would like.
How rude of you. I like it, though. Also, we're going to be announcing some forthcoming additions to... So I don't want to call it the Wrestleview Radio Network because we've kind of closed that when the VIP died, but we've resurrected stuff through Wrestleview with our show. We work with Dara O'Connor, who does stuff on Phoenix FM for the Wrestleview International Desk. And then Jason Amico just approached me asking if we would be interested in carrying his independent roundtable show with Nicholas Gray. So I'd like to finalize more before we really say something, but I wanted to at least send out an information note on that, that we're going to be doing that. And Jason's show obviously covers all things independent wrestling. And that weekend of WrestleMania, I don't know if you've looked at all the shows they're doing at like WrestleCon. That's another big WrestleCon's like the big event. There's so many wrestling shows that weekend in New Orleans. So I think it'd be fun to zoo walk around at WrestleMania next year and go to a WrestleCon too and just kind of walk around and.
Oh, for the love of God!
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I don't know. Maybe that's too much.
Oh, no, well, hold on here now. Everyone who's on Wrestleview staff, and you imagine all of us getting together. Okay, you're talking about you, me, Tedesco, Tom Vanstone.
Yeah, Tom probably would. Hunter fucking hates wrestling, so Hunter probably won't go.
Oh, I know he wouldn't.
He was even hate tweeting me. He said it looked like torture when I said I was going to be covering Fastlane tonight. He's such a hater.
But I have a feeling that he might come out if I'm showing up.
Yeah, I think he'd come. I think he'd show up.
Because he and I had never met.
Yeah,
you know,
I think he'd come. I think he'd show up.
If I gave him a hazmat suit to wear, because I would wear a hazmat suit.
He just puts on the front like he's like, oh, Motor, I don't like wrestling. But he'd show up if we're all out there. Because it's so rare that we're out there on the East Coast, so he'd show up, I'm sure.
And he knows we're going to get hammered afterwards.
Exactly. That's the whole purpose of we're going out there. We're going to have fun, drink beer, and do that. So.
And talk stupid stuff.
There you go. That'll be good.
Feel good about each other.
Good shits. Good stuff.
Because we're not you.
Because we're not you. Exactly. So 4 weeks, we will be back to cover, is it 4 or 3 weeks? I think it's 4 weeks.
Well, if we're talking about showing up to talk about the takeovers.
Oh, fuck. That's right. So we'll be back April 7th to talk about Hall of Fame and TakeOver. And then the following night, April the 8th, we'll review WrestleMania whenever it finishes. So, and I've blocked out the entire next day. So, it's gonna be.
I've blocked out that whole weekend too.
Okay, sweet. So we'll be here for 2 podcasts. Then we'll commit to those. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching on the YouTubes. Thank you for listening on SoundCloud or iTunes. You can search Wrestleview Media to get the audio version of this and. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Wrestleview Radio, or search Wrestleview Live. And the more subscriptions, the better on YouTube, because those fuckers just dropped the bomb on us and said we needed a certain amount of subscribers and a certain amount of watches. And yeah,
well, I'm just asking for followers on Wrestleview Weekly.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's Wrestleview Weekly on the Twitch. Doug Wrestleview is the name of the channel. Twitch.tv/Doug Wrestleview every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
That's right. And I love watching Doug do this. Just stare and look at and watch the match. I just think that's such a fun concept to just sit there and and then your reactions to it as things are happening, and it's fun. It's good stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like the first time, seeing this kind of stuff. I just watched what did I watch? It was
Brian Danielson.
Oh gosh, it was the Brian Danielson AJ Styles in New Albany, Indiana. That was suggested by a follower.
That's right.
That I checked that out, and I tried to look up because New Albany, Indiana, sound very familiar, and it was actually a town that my family and I would stop at traveling from here in North Carolina to Muncie, Indiana, to visit our family.
Oh, nice.
That was like a pit stop, and so I'm sitting there going like, God, where the fuck is this? I swear, I know I've never been here, but where the fuck is this? I might know where this is.
Isn't it funny how you associate places that you stopped as a kid with wrestling? Because do you remember the Beyond the Mat documentary with Jake the Snake Roberts, where he had a wrestling show in like Kearney, Nebraska, and it was just out in the middle of nowhere. And I remember as a kid when we would drive to Colorado, we would stop in that town for some reason, and I would always associate that with, this is the place where Jake the Snake Roberts with his big belly was having wrestling matches in this like big armory place. And It's funny how you just associate things with. I remember going to Seattle one year, going, "Hey, there's what is it? Is it Safeco Field? The base
Safeco Field. Yeah.
I took a big picture. I said, "This was the site of WrestleMania 19." And everyone's like, "Yeah, or it's where the Mariners play." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but that's for me. It's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania 19, where Brock almost broke his neck." All right, so we're going to get out of here, Douglas. I know we're going long. Sorry, but we had a lot to talk about. A lot of news since we last. A lot of news. I was surprised in just the 2 weeks we didn't do a show. So we'll keep you posted on the schedule, but definitely 2 podcasts the weekend of WrestleMania. One on the 7th after TakeOver, and then we'll talk Hall of Fame, and then the next night after WrestleMania goes off the air after the 8-9 hour marathon of WrestleMania.
And get ready for a bunch of insanity on the Raw following it.
Yeah, that's always. I thought about doing another podcast after Raw, but I'm going to be tapped out. I'm sorry, guys. That's just too much.
And I don't know if it'll be as obnoxious as we think it's going to be, because it's New Orleans. It's not like New Jersey or Miami or Chicago.
It could be though, but that's become a gimmick itself though. Is the Raw after WrestleMania? That's just its own kind of gimmick. I've noticed that's the thing they do. They're like, oh, you don't want to miss it, because they do like articles and YouTube videos, and Doug, you don't want to miss this goddamn show because you never know what's going to happen. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll find out. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We will talk to you in a few weeks for WrestleMania and a lot of Kid Rock music. You ready?
Oh boy, can't wait for that.
You ready to hear that fucking song?
Get ready to celebrate New Orleans, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, New Orleans.
Gonna hear that one quite a bit. All right, everybody. We will talk to you in a few weeks. Enjoy the rest. Get the rest, relax, and we'll come back and talk some WrestleMania in a few weeks. Bye.
Wacky Club.
At Doug Wrestleview on the Twitter, at Adam Wrestleview on the Twitter, by the way. Thank you. All right, bye.
That too.
All right, bye.